There's a treasure map hidden in the depth of your soul.
If you find that map and you take that path, it will lead you to the golden heart of hearts,
Overflowing
with knowing and bliss.
if you get that far,
just keep going, remembering this. Do what your heart says you should do. It's the most precious part of you. That's where the answers come, when your thoughts are calm and you're searching for the truth. Do what your heart says.
and when the ones you trust to be fair and just turn on you,
and you're all alone in the great unknown, and you don't know what you should do.
find your heart of hearts overflowing
with knowing and bliss.
if you get that far,
just keep going, remembering this. Do what your heart says you should do.
it's the most precious part of you.
That's where the answers come, when your thoughts are calm and you're searching for the truth. Do what your heart says.
Center for Spiritual Living St. George is seeking a new senior minister. St. George is a top Utah destination with its incredibly mild climate and close proximity to not one but 5 beautiful national parks. It boasts several award-winning golf courses, many parks and recreation areas, as well as over 65 miles of urban trail system. It is home to numerous festivals and art shows, concerts and theater productions, in addition to hosting various national sporting events. All of this in a city with a population of only 90,000 and a metropolitan area of around 172,000. Center for Spiritual Living St. George welcomes diversity and is as spectacular as its surrounding area. Founded in 2011, we have been an integral part of our community, holding weekly Sunday services, offering classes and workshops, and sponsoring special events. We have a dedicated leadership team that includes 6 tenured core council members, 5 licensed practitioners, a staff music leader, and regular volunteers. If you or someone you know might be interested in being a part of this thriving center, please visit our website at CSLSG.org or log on to our Facebook page, Center for Spiritual Living St. George, where we are currently streaming our live Sunday morning services and would love to have you join us. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Good morning, St. George. I hope you are all well today. We are so delighted to have you here joining us once again on a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm up in American Fork, so I'm remote from you, but I'm so glad that I got to join you. We have a great lineup for you today. I will remind you that we are an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. One of the things that I really love about CSL is it really is about giving us the tools to have our own relationship with the divine, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So today, I will be your host, and Miss Cheryl will be our amazing musician once again. She has a great lineup of songs for us today. Star Starrett, who is one of our practitioners, is going to do the Sacred Covenant reading. Anita Sheff, another of our practitioners, will be doing the invocation for us today. And she always does such a beautiful job. And our message, once again, our regular first Sunday of the month speaker is Joe Kovach. I'm sure that he's going to choose to give us a beautiful message. So I'm going to introduce Cheryl now, and she will bring us her magic.
Good morning, Marina.
Good morning.
Thanks, too. I'm just thrilled to be here. And so we're just going to let everything go. And as Marina said, find that space where we can make our connection to spirit. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. Now I'm going to invite Anita to come and share a blessing with us this morning. Morning, Anita.
Morning. So just breathe in the feeling of surrender. Settle in. As I recognize that there is one presence and one power that lives all of our lives as love, as peace. And so I just breathe that in. I breathe in that power, that presence, and I let it settle deep within me. I let my soul be still. And I open my heart to this experience today, whether I'm listening right now or after the broadcast. I am a part of this experience, of this service. And I feel the presence of the divine in every bit of it. I realize that I have the choice to be here present right now. What a great gift that is. And so I choose to be inspired today. I choose to let this service uplift me and to remind me of the good of my life. And I know that regardless of the circumstances going around me, whatever it is, in the world, in the country, in my personal life, I am a choice to live from love or to live from fear. I choose to live from love. And I know for each one of us that there is something in this service as it unfolds perfectly today that keeps us centered in that choice of love that reminds us when we stray and brings us back every time. And I'm so grateful for this truth. I'm so grateful for the blessings that unfold this day and each day coming. And so I let this be, I let my words go forth, knowing that they bring back to me the perfect demonstration. And I extend this blessing to everyone listening. I let it be. I let it be love. I let it be good. And so it is.
Beautiful. Amen. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am kinder every moment, every day, and I'm more loving every moment, every day. I will surrender every moment, every day. And now I'm going to invite Star in to read our Sacred Covenant today. Good morning, Star.
Good morning, Cheryl. Beautiful song. Thank you. Okay. We are in the process of bringing in a new minister to CSL St. George. And here's a covenant that we share and would like you to share with us. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life, I know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which include the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to express God, I therefore know that my new minister reveals wholeness. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which we believe, for it is written by Ernest Holmes, "Let us learn to draw the divine substance down into our own lives, and as freely as it is given to us, let us give it to others. Thus alone shall we be made whole." As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as growing the center in joy and prosperity. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing the truth about myself, for I live the presence and law of God. I demonstrate wisdom through a mature understanding of the wholeness of life. I am accountable and willing to take full responsibility for my actions. I participate in and support the nurturance and guidance of the community. I act from wholeness and congruence in thought, word, and action. I walk the talk. I embrace, now express your personal truth here. I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, knowing that they are revealed in a way that expresses God and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful, and so it is.
Amen. Absolutely. So this is a new month, November 1st, Daylight Savings. I hope we all enjoyed our extra hour this morning. Our November theme is living as compassionate conduits. And this week's focus is divine authority to choose. Writer Margaret Stortz, she expanded on that thought in this month's Science of Mind magazine, saying, the largeness of such a personal use of divine energies is almost too hard to imagine, almost, except that we contain every piece of the divine except its infinity. We have it within us to be amazing elements for the movement of the divine good at every moment if we so choose. And Ernest Holmes reiterated that we cannot lead a choiceless life. Every day, every moment, every second, there is a choice. And Ralph Waldo Emerson brings the good news, saying, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. We choose every day, every moment. We need to not only choose wisely, but choose magnificently, choose incredible inspiration as we move through this time and every time. I choose to set myself free. I choose the light inside me, no matter where I've been. I haven't been here before. This moment is new, and it can wholly restore. I choose the joy that faith brings. I choose to think of good things. It's all in my mind. Each event is first a thought, and the law says yes. So clarify the thing you want. I choose to see only love. I choose the life God dreamed of when He created me, to express the soul divine. I will move out of my way and let the Holy Spirit shine. I choose today the sacred union that is mine. I choose the light inside me. I choose to set myself free.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was amazing
Thanks,
as usual. You always pick just the right songs. All right, it is my pleasure to introduce Joe Kovach, who is a very familiar face to you all.
Good morning.
Good morning, Joe. It's so nice to have you here with us today.
That was a great song.
It was a great song.
Cheryl's amazing.
She is.
You're all amazing.
Cheryl is a divinely inspired songwriter for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're blessed to have her company with you, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, take it away, sir.
All right, let me pop open my, where did it go? There we go.
Got it?
All right. Can hopefully everybody, oh, a little backwards. All right, good morning. Well, if you, hopefully you had a happy Halloween yesterday. I know my family and I did. We decided we had to drain our pool, our in-ground pool. And we decided while it was empty, we were going to have a empty pool party, and we had a Halloween party within it. So we had a nice fire going, and we told ghost stories and scary music, and it was a grand old time. So it was a beautiful evening here with that full moon. I hope you got out and took advantage of that energy. It was beautiful. And so thank you to the St. George community. I love being able to speak here. It's such an honor. I love your support, and I love the time we get to share after the service today. So make sure you join us. And so I wanted to share with you today the kind of mindset I have of going through creating this talk. So at first, I have the first week speaking of the month, which means I get a whole new monthly topic. And, living as compassionate conduits. The first thing that brought up to me is Thomas Troward's quote that we live as divine distributors. And so I let that sit for a little while. And then I'm looking at the talk title. And I first looked at it as a divine authority to choose. Okay, well, that makes sense. We understand and we believe that, God is the creator of all. It's everything. It created me. And I am it in expression. God gave us the ability to choose. And even in the Bible, it says, he gave us dominion over things, kind of authority, right? We were able to, in the beginning, name the animals and such. And I let that sit for a while. And then I like to run topics by my wife. And she said, "What's the talk title?" And I said, "Divine Authority to Choose." And she lovingly said, "I don't like that word authority." And she said, "I don't know why." And I kind of laughed. And I said lovingly, you don't know why you don't like the word authority. And she, like myself, we like to kind of be in control and charge. And so authority for myself and many of us kind of brings up a negative connotation. We attach to it, prescribe to it different negative contexts and meanings, ideas or past events of being limited, maybe being bullied, ruled over, feeling limited, that there's this outside force, circumstance that's controlling us. And we don't really like that. It may even bring up ideas of people that we just have this disdain for. So I let that sit for a little bit. And looking back at the title again, Divine Authority, I realized that even the word divine sometimes for people brings up issues. The word God brings up issues. Again, we talk about authority, and then we picture this outside God of us having its power over us and controlling us, which makes us feel, again, kind of weak. So I was letting all this sit and trying to where am I going to go with this? But I said, wait a minute, we know the truth. We declare the truth every day, particularly whenever we do a spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, right? We state that God is everything. It is love. It's the hope. It's perfection. It's complete. I know that it's the presence of anything and that I am unified with it. And so I wanted to sit with that for a minute. And then I began searching on the internet, and I found this amazing little thing. And it said, once Satan and his demon sidekick were walking down the street, closely watching a man 20 yards ahead who was on the verge of realizing the supreme truth. The demon grew worried and began to nudge Satan, but Satan looked quite calm. Sure enough, the man did, in fact, soon realize the deepest spiritual truth. Yet Satan still did nothing about it. With this, the demon nudged Satan harder, and getting no response, finally blurted out, "Satan, don't you see? That man has realized the truth, and yet you are doing nothing to stop him." And with that, Satan cunningly smiled and announced, "Yes, he has realized the truth, and now I'm going to help him organize the truth." And when I read that, I was like, wow, that kind of put me in check. Now, of course, we don't believe that they're in this idea of Satan, that there's this devil or anything outside of us that has domain over us. But this idea of Satan being our negative thoughts, right? That unconscious, those thoughts that we're unaware of, that seem to at times wreak havoc in our lives and organize things in ways that we don't want to, and we don't rather have it show up. And so I sat with this for a while, and I wanted to make sure that I'm getting all this down. And so I said, well, we know the truth, though. Again, we declare it all the time. So I was thinking to myself, what do I really know the truth of? And these three things came up for me. I know the truth of what we believe. I believe that God and Spirit is. That is a truth for me, an unchangeable truth. And the truth of who and what we are. Meaning, I know that I'm a divine expression. I am one with, in essence, the same as, but not the circumference of that which we call God. And what we are is manifested consciousness, God consciousness. So I know that for the truth. And then I'm thinking, what is the truth of our world? Well, we also see that as the manifested mind of God in form, right? So that's what I held as truth. And yet, do we really see ourselves as this? Are we actually being a conduit to this divine truth? Are we a divine conduit? Do we see ourselves in alignment with that which we say is true? And not only see ourselves and believe ourselves, but are we actually being, right? That's the kind of, there's the doing and the being. And the doing comes from the being. So the energy of myself, am I living each day as if I know that there is life force, all powerful, all creative, as in created the entire universe, and everything that I see is flowing to, through, and as me? Am I waking up and really being that? And I let that sit for a while. And I paused and I said, well, I felt almost as if I was getting off track. And then what came to my mind was a class I'm currently taking, excuse me, called Wisdom of the Kabbalah. And Kabbalah is the mystic path of the Jewish faith. And they look at things in a different way. They look at the relationship of us and God in a different way. And I wanted to share a little bit about this with you. I shared some last talk, as a matter of fact, now I'm remembering, is in the Tree of Life. So one of the things is that God is both a mystery and yet can be experienced in and throughout our human existence. So that that God is this unknowable, undefinable, you can't name it, you can't claim it, kind of I'll just say thing. And yet we can also feel a part of it in our life as humans. So they also believe the fact that whatever exists in the world first exists within God. So what this kind of means is we know that if, in other words, if it's here now, then there's a part of that exists within God, and that we see it, we know it. So if it exists, like we know that everything that we see in the world is first in mind, right? We say that there's a blueprint in the mind of God. So this chair I'm sitting on, the screen I'm looking at, even the internet, if it's a thing in mind, then if it's a thing that we can see now, then it also exists within God. And then they also say that God depends on us. And I was very interested when I read this, and I wanted to share this with you because what they say, and this is the Kabbalists, they say that God is the harmonized state of everything in the world that we see as separate. So as we see maleness, I think I have, I want to make sure, yeah, there we go. So I wanted to share this with you. So we see maleness and femaleness. Where's my pointer? There we go, right up here. And we experience an overabundance of love and a withholding in love in our living, but God is all of that and more. So what does that mean? That God is both male and female and everything in between. So if you had a line, male over here, and hopefully you can see female over here, God is everything, all of that and more. And that spirit here is both male and female joined together in harmony. So it's not just everything, but it's everything in a state of harmony. God can be both an overabundance and a withholding of love and everything in between. So again, what we see as extremes or opposites, overabundance and a withholding, they believe that they see this idea of God as both ends and everything in the middle as a harmonized state. And then they say this, they say that the lower awakening brings on the higher awakening, so that we unite God, and God therefore depends on us. As much as we are in search of God, God is in search of us. And when we reach out to God, God reaches out to us. And that comes from the book you can see below, The Mystic Quest in Judaism. So the lower, and what they're talking about is our existence, the what, who and what we are in human form on earth in our reality. That we have this divine relationship that, in a sense, God can't be or do without. And, excuse me, continuing on, and this is kind of the key here, that the novel element in the Kabbalistic thinking about God and men is their mutual and reciprocal independence. Underline that, their mutual and reciprocal independence. That God is not complete by himself. He cannot be complete and perfect except when made so by human action. The unity of the various aspects of God's being depends on human actions. Interesting. And humans do not benefit except when God's grace flows upon the world. Neither God nor man can act or be fulfilled except through the other. So here's a kind of a different way of thinking. Not that just we are one with God, but in essence, like we are an irreplaceable, needed aspect of God. That God is expressing through us and needs us to live this life, to be fulfilled, can't be without. Almost like saying that there's a male and then there's no female, right? There's no harmony, there's no existence of both. And the key I want to go back to is this mutual and reciprocal independence. So that it's a different way of thinking in a sense, kind of helps logically in a way for my mind to look at it and say, all right, well, God is its own thing. I am its own thing in a sense, just like male and female are its own thing. And yet God also kind of merges that in the perfect harmonizing way. And yet we're both independents. Now my ego loves that word independence over authority. And so I just sit there and I'm like, that is interesting. So because often, the word authority also kind of at a time makes me feel a little bit, brings up that unworthiness feeling again. Because again, if I'm attributing to this idea of feeling powerless and not being in my power and something can control over me or whatever, and then someone says, oh, you have this divine power within you, and it's so great to hear. But if I have these thoughts, right, kind of Satan running around, as the story says, organizing my thoughts, I'm not in alignment. And until I get in alignment with, I'm going to feel maybe unworthiness. Until I get into alignment, into this mutual and reciprocal independence of knowing who and what we are and how we, in a sense, work together, live together, thrive together. This presence is one together. Then I'm not going to feel in alignment with being in authority or even the word God or divine. And depending on where we are in our spiritual path, this will mean different things. Someone who's just living a life that is completely habitual, it's a journey, a longer journey upward than some of us who are aware of more and understand some of these great teachings that we learn in Science of Mind and Spirit. And that is to start being aware of who and what we are. Being aware of when I wake up, what are my first thoughts of the day? Am I aligning with this perfect harmonizing energy that, in a sense, is me? Am I doing that? Am I being that? Do I recognize and be in appreciation for this divine authority that I have to choose? So now I'm like, my mind's all now on my school work and to my ministerial work, and I'm thinking, that might be out of the way. What does Ernest Holmes have to say about this? And so I looked up in the Concord, and the Concord is simply a resource book for the science of mind. You can look up individual words, and it'll tell you on what pages you can find it. It's a great resource. And so I looked it up, and I found this quote from Ernest Holmes, and I wanted to share that with you. And he says that the parable of the, and this is where the first thing I looked at for authority, as what I was looking up, I wanted to share that with you, that the parable of the prodigal son constitutes one of the greatest spiritual lessons in the history of religious education. Now, that's quite a statement, even back in 1943, I think this was written. It is an attempt on the part of the great teacher to show that God turns to us as we turn to him. Now, I will change it. Look at that, him as us, as he, capital she, capital, whatever word fits for you. And that there is a reciprocal action between the universal and the individual mind. Does that not sound familiar from what we just read to you from the Kabbalistic thought? And that the Spirit is ready to help us whenever we turn to it. The greatest lesson we have to learn is the unity of love in law, the necessity of law in shaping a divine individuality, and the necessity of experience in awakening to this divine individuality. So let's go back to, again, that even Holmes, who we know, and maybe you don't know, studied just like all ministers do for Holmes Institute, we study a lot of the faiths, the world's greatest faiths. And he was absolutely one of the best students of it. And I'm sure that he got this idea from many of them, which is there's this reciprocal action, and we can say relationship, right, between the universal and the individual mind. He recognized that there is one mind, and yet we're sharing in it individually. That's a power, right? We're doing this through our choice. We're sharing with that. We know, again, as we said earlier, whatever exists on earth has existed in God or heaven or spirit. And therefore, there is this divine giving and receiving, reciprocal action. And at the same time, there's like this movement between two that are one. Again, the male and the female, in a sense, are one in God, the perfect harmonizing way. And I believe same with our thought, that as I hold this thought in my mind of peace and harmony, that is there really a way for me to think of something that doesn't exist? I don't believe so. So what I believe what I'm doing is I become into alignment with my thinking of this peace, of this harmony. And that's an individual peace and harmony that I feel. Right? You're going to feel, when I say peace, you're going to feel something different. How amazing is that, to know that every person on earth, every being is casting their own consciousness and their own ideas of peace and unity and God and spirit. And so I was like, wow, okay, so this kind of lines up with this path that I'm following. And it's quite interesting to know. And then he says down here, and some people get lost when they say love in law. And in science of mind and religious science, law is simply the action part of the divine that makes things, it's the part that makes things happen. Some may call it like the Holy Spirit. It's the movement of. And so we know that this divine movement, when we hold a thought in mind, that there's this movement of, and that there's this law. We talk about seed, soil, plant, and law, if you know that analogy, is that soil. Law is what makes it happen. All right, so I was kind of like, okay, this makes sense. I can help people understand that. And then Holmes continues to say this, that God is love, in God is law. The love of God is omnipresent, and the law of God is omnipresent. The love of God is the divine givingness, the eternal outpouring of spirit through its creation. The law of God is the law of cause and effect, which says that we can have only what we take. Since this taking is a mental and spiritual, and he adds as well as physical act, we can take only that to which we are receptive. There's a reason I bolded that, and I got my pointer over it. We can take only that to which we are receptive. He says, Jesus saw that it is done unto us as we really believe. And the thought is ever father to the act. So what we know in science of mind is this, again, relationship, this law of cause and effect. As we think, as we choose, that is linked, right? Because there's only one mind. So this relationship, I send it out, God receives it and makes it so. But we can only receive what we're able to do. And this is important. Going back to this idea of divine authority, of choice. Am I accepting this authority? Am I receptive to this authority? Because if not, now we have kind of almost like a broken relationship. I'm saying I want something, but now I really want it, but I'm kind of not willing to receive it. It's kind of like ordering something and then not giving your address to where they need to ship it to. Right? It's just out there. It may get to you eventually. It may never get to you. And our work, in a sense of our spiritual work, is alignment. To know that who we are and what we are and how this whole process works. And so I wanted to tie this together, going all the way back. Here we go. So whether we truly believe we are one with all, one with what we call God or spirit or not, within that decision is a choice, right? And that choice does give us authority. Authority over what we do, say, who we are being, and to what we deem as true. So it's kind of like something like, I don't want to look at this. I don't know if I believe it, and yet it's there. It's happening. It's kind of like electricity before we understood it and could take advantage of it. You know, it moves, it's there the whole time. And imagine all the other things that are there, able possibilities, infinite potentiality that we're just unaware of at the time. And yet it's a choice. Everything is a choice. Another thought, we may never know all of God, but we can know God individually if we make the choice to. So this kind of goes back to this idea that, yes, you know, we recognize when we say, it's easy to say that God is the creator, God is all, God is this and that. Yet to really wrap our minds around it, we really can't do it. There's this unknowable part, and that's okay. So what can we do to be part of this relationship is take on the individual part that you can. Make the choice to choose to want to align to your truth and be open to a greater truth. And if you're not sure, keep contemplating it. I get this one from Wayne Dyer. Remember what he says, if you're not sure what to do, if you know what you want, then just keep thinking about it for a while. Because what you're doing by thought is energy, thought is consciousness. And as you continue to build and build and build and build, you're aligning with basically a question, a desire, and the desire will be answered. Ask it, it is given. And it goes back to that third point on the previous page was, but we have to be receptive to receiving the answer. Divine authority to choose. And finally, it's kind of like, man, sometimes I get all heady. And I'm like, I'm not sure, is there one way? Is there, what if there's multiple ways and so forth? And I go back to this, that makes me feel good. This kind of, in a sense, almost like a mantra, that we're spiritual beings living a human existence. And this isn't even close to being all that there is and all that we know and to recognizing who we truly, truly are. We can talk about it, but to know it. And I know that one day will come when I align with that. And I believe that is the spiritual journey, to align with that greater knowing. And yet, right where we are, being appreciative, being happy, being joyful, because we know that the power of all is right here and right now in the present. That the presence is in the present. And so I kind of like, okay. So if we can't grasp this idea sometimes of authority and being oneness, I can just relax and, all right, I believe that there's more than this. There's so much evidence to show this for me to align with. It makes me feel good. And again, it just relaxes me and allows me to get back to contemplating it. And so authority or freedom. So then my mind went to, well, I remember the very first class I took in Science of Mind. I think it was called Science of Mind 101 or 100. And the teacher there said, you know, if you're reading something and you don't like it, you have a about it, then change the word, right? You have that choice. So what came to me over authority is freedom. So what if we simply made the choice to change the word authority to freedom, right? Divine freedom to choose. That sounds to me, even just saying it that way, better. And I ask you, does it feel better using the word freedom? Divine freedom to choose? And if it does, yes, then simply make the choice to change. Use that. If that helps you align with something that you already say you believe, then do it, because this is your individual relationship with God. This is your individual path of life. You get to choose. Well, then I want to ask you, if you did, who gave you the authority to make that choice? And I did this kind of as a teaser, and yet I threw in the word authority again, because part of this journey is being aware. And if I simply write off, say I'm going to use the word freedom, why? Because I don't like the word authority. And if I never really maybe contemplate why I don't like the word authority, then I may have some of Satan's helpers running around trying to organize my truth. And so the idea is to sit with what really bugs you about it. At least be aware of it. It may be something you can't change. Maybe it was, in fact, somebody who was in an authoritative position and they abused their power, whatever. But what I'm saying is to choose consciously. If you're going to choose freedom, choose it consciously, because you know why you want to, and because you are giving yourself the divine authority to do that, right? We give ourselves the authority in the sense, and here's why I say that, is because we have to be receptive to it. So I can ask for it. I already know it's granted because I'm one with that authority, right? In sense of this philosophy, but I have to be receptive of that. And in the end, it's all one. We choose the path. So I do believe that all paths do lead to spirit in some way or another, that the ultimate truth, if there is even an ultimate truth, I've heard the saying that sometimes the opposite of a great truth is another great truth. And that sits with this as well. So yet, I recognize this divine authority right here and right now. And I'm going to ask you to join me in prayer as we recognize this together. I ask you to get comfortable, to choose any way you want to receive this prayer. As we recognize this full presence, this full authority, this full lovingness, this full freedom that we call God, this presence that is right here, right now, in its fullness. I can feel that right now as we take a collective breath together. Breathe in. Hold it. You feel that presence and release. And therefore, I know that I am one with this presence, that there is only one life. And as I speak, I know the same is true for each and every one listening, no matter when they listen. I know that we are blessed because God is the blessing, that there is no separation between my mind and that which I call God or spirit or source or the universe, that there is this beautiful, magnificent, somewhat unknowing life and somewhat knowing life, and it is all okay. I love this. I love everything that's happening right here and right now. I bless CSL St. George and its community, recognizing the amazing work that they're doing, that they are divinely choosing to be a light in this world, a positive, loving light, a source in their community of compassion, of empathy, of love. I just know that everyone is blessed this day, taking with them whatever they may from this talk that I've crafted. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve and know that everything is as it should be. And I ask you to join me in saying together, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Amazing as usual. It was very thought-provoking and instructional. I really,
my mind.
yeah, I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you betcha. Okay, everybody, now down to a little bit of business. I hope that you enjoyed Joe's talk. I thought it was Amazing. I have lots ruminating around in my head. And so we have a lot going on here at Centers for Spiritual Living St. George, and I know that you are all aware if you've been reading the newsletter and the things that we've been sharing with you. And so I have a message from your leadership that I would like to read to you, with your permission. Your leadership team's diligent navigation of our budgetary needs have brought us through the adaptation to online services. We are now at the point where our expenses are not sustainable at the current level of membership investment, most pointedly the rent on our lovely physical space. Knowing we are divinely guided for the center's highest purpose, we engage in fluid conversation and decision making about the wisest use of our resources. As we proceed carefully and prayerfully, we also know that we are partners with you out there, in this great masterpiece that is Centers for Spiritual Living St. George. If you have ever been moved to contribute financially to this center, now is the time when it will make a sustaining impact. And any dollar amount helps. One-time donations are always helpful, and repeat donations create sustainability. So it's easy to make a contribution, to partner with CSL St. George in the abundance that exists here. You can give by text, you can give online, and you can snail mail us a check if that's what works best for you. This information is available in your newsletter, on the website, and on our Facebook page. So we hope that you will take this message to heart and partner with us in the abundance and prosperity that already exists in the mind of God. All right, now on to some other announcements. As you know, we are still have our minister search going on. If you or someone you know is a CSL or Unity minister and they're interested in aligning with us, our website and our Facebook page has that information, and Reverend Julie Lobato will provide information for anyone who would like to be an applicant. As usual, please join us on Zoom at noon for conversation and for thoughtful reflection of Joe's talk with us today. The link, the Zoom link, is in your newsletter, in your Friday reminders, and also on the event page on our website. We have folks, volunteers connected with our center that are very anxious to help you with whatever you need assistance with. Our community care circle provides support through calls, cards, and prayer. And also our practitioners are always available for prayer requests, which you can send to prayer@cslstgeorge.org, or call one of our phone numbers, which are also in the newsletter and on the website, always available to you, where you can leave a message. Our book club is still going. Sue and her cohorts are thoroughly enjoying the book of Soul by Mark Nepo. This is a club that you can just come once or come every week. And Sue wants me to be sure and tell you that you don't have to have the book, that the conversation is rousing and is easily engaged, even if you have not done the reading. So consider coming on Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock on Zoom. The link, again, is in your newsletter and on the website. And we hope that you'll continue to join us. Next week we have Reverend Elijah Christopher again, who speaks about what is God giving you. And in 2 weeks, Reverend Hannah Rothland will be back with us, and her topic will be How Engaged is God as Us? And now I'm going to bring everybody back on the screen, and we are going to share the closing affirmation with you, and we hope that you will join in as well. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it, I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you, live. We are so happy that you are with us today, and we hope that you have a blessed day and a blessed week. And again, we invite you to join us every Sunday for a rousing message and the best kind of community that we can have right now. We're missing hugs, but all the rest of it is there and present. So Thank you, everybody, for being here. Cheryl, Star, Anita, Joe. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marna.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.